Okay, this is a little bit of a, I guess you'd call it an investigation to see. This is a ignition switch out of a '01 Alero, which is like a Grand Am and several other different GM vehicles. This switch was bad. I replaced it, but you know, I kind of wanted to know how these things function, what went wrong with it. And so there's times where I actually tear these apart, even though they're not supposed to be dismantled. I like to see kind of what's happening, so that's what I'm doing here. So I thought I'd share that with you. Any of these plastic switches, especially the ones that rotate, go bad. This vehicle had relatively low mileage, but it still happens. So anyway, like I said, the clips that they use on this side, this is where the ignition lock and tumbler go, is right in this area, and it rotates down in through there. I don't know how well you can see that, how good the lighting is, but this is where it bolts to the dash, and this part of this housing is held on with these plastic retainers, and there's 6 of them. There's kind of 3 here, 3 over on this side. They're pretty tough to get off. A lot of these aren't too bad, but these are, being there's so many of them, usually what I do is I just pry those out and move it a little bit to release it, and then pry another one and work it all the way around. This one was a little tougher, so I had to kind of use shims in there to hold them out. Anyway, I got it off, and once I got this off, this part is the actuating part that rotates, and you can see it's just a rotating cam with a spring on it, which is for when you get to the start position. That's where you feel the spring tension, and then it comes back on its own. If you pull this out, then what you have in here are a bunch of spring pins, and this cam is beveled to where as you rotate it, it lets these go up or down on the spring, which makes contact on the other side where our contacts are. Now, as I was looking in here, I noticed that there's grease in here. All of these pins look fairly normal on this side, so I couldn't really see anything wrong with that. This has got rotating springs here that you have to kind of compress when you put this back in, but it's really a fairly simple operation. Now this side, you have a lot of things going on with this switch. You know, there's a cable that goes in for the gear shift, then there's a security transponder that plugs in here on this side, and then your plugs, your main plugs that are here. On this side that I took off, it's got the same kind of clips, and I had it loose, but I guess they put themselves back together. All right, so anyway, when I pull this cover off, then what you have on this side are the main contacts, and there again it looks like any other switch of this type, kind of like the old point sets that they used in ignitions, but you can take these out. 2 of these blades actually go through. What you have is battery voltage that comes in, and then this switch basically sends the voltage and makes the ground circuits wherever they're supposed to go to make the vehicle do whatever it's supposed to do. You have accessory on and in the start position. So if you pull these out, see these blades go all the way through. If you take this one out first, you'll see that blade kind of slides in there, and then you turn it over and you can see these contacts that are burned pretty bad. And you know, a lot of the contacts they make out of platinum to so they have a resistance to rust and arcing, but it just seems like over time it happens to all of them. If you pull this one out, this one is kind of burned, but probably not as bad as the other one. And then the main contact points down in here, like this one here, is burned, pretty bad. Now, some of the older vehicles with the switches that are designed like this, and they're hard to find, I would actually recondition these contacts and put it back together and use it again. Now, this vehicle, these are readily available, and they're not that expensive. They're probably anywhere from $50 to $70 for the whole thing. But if you ever get in a situation where you have to, you could probably do that. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, but this is just kind of a tutorial to show you what actually happens with this switch. This one you would turn the key on, and it had nothing on the dash display. The vehicle would start, but there would be nothing on the cluster showing. The tach wouldn't work, speedometer, no lights, nothing like that. And then intermittent starting. So I kind of found a place where I could reach up under the dash and actually touch this thing. And when I had the key on, if I kind of grabbed a hold of it with it, plugged in, I could actually move it and the dash lights would come on. So I knew that there was something going on in this switch, and this is the first time I've actually stripped one of these apart. I've replaced quite a few of them, but never took the time to actually investigate, and now I know what it is. So hopefully you can get yours fixed, and this will give you some insight. Thanks for watching.